Hey, welcome back to AJ's Garage. It's been a couple weeks, but I did a little bit yesterday, and then today I'll kind of just recap what I've done. So I installed the coolant heater bypass, which, let's see, you can see my screwdriver tapping on one end right here, and then it just loops around to the other side right there. Again, that's just to bypass the coolant that would go to the heater core, and it just makes it flow right back around. Nice little easy fix there. Just in case also, I didn't already cover it, these little guys that I had blocked off were for the throttle body. Again, I just capped them, put a hose clamp on it. And then I kind of did a rough fitment of the transmission oil cooler. So again, I got some self-tappers in here. And then I think the last thing is I'm just going to run a bar from here to here to kind of just make sure it's held steady. And then we just have to put the fittings in and run the line, because the two transmission oil lines are this one and this one. So fortunately, I already took the clamps off and loosened these. So we're just gonna have to pop those off, run the new line around the radiator, which would sit right here, and then into the oil cooler, which means the oil cooler is almost done. The coolant system is almost done. Basically, I just have to put the radiator in. And then as far as this line, I got to get under there and see where all this is clamped in and what it's holding. I might completely remove this line, because this is one of the transmission oil cooler lines. So it goes from a soft line to a hard line that's bolted on the back side of this engine mount, back to a soft line, and then from there it would have gone into the radiator, the bottom of the radiator. If it's easy, I might just completely unbolt that. I don't know what that vacuum line is. It kind of looks like this vacuum line goes into the engine mount, which I'd be surprised if this had a variable engine mount in it, but either way, that should be easy to deal with. Now, to the inside. Alright, in here I got this bar fully welded on, and then I have this plate about, I don't know, 3/4 of the way welded in. I've got some on the back side. I just have to finish this back weld. And the back side of this plate, I've got this plate in here, as you can see, about halfway welded, and then I've got this about halfway welded as well. And then this one, I went and welded some of the bar, but this is mostly unwelded. Today, I'm going to try and finish welding all the spreader plates in and the roll cage. And if I can get that done, that means I can move on to putting the dash bar in, I'm blanking on the term, the harness bar, and then maybe even work on the anti-sag bar for the harness bar. We'll see. But once I get those in, I can start mounting up the steering wheel and try and get the steering wheel and possibly all the electronics put back in so that I can start the car up and at least make sure all that's running. And then I kind of want to do that before I start working on the door bars, but we'll see. Maybe I'll decide that I want to completely finish the roll cage before I try and get the car running. We'll see. But for now, let's see if we can finalize these spreader plates, get them all put in. I ran out of argon, so that's going to be the end of the welding for this weekend. Fortunately, the places that fill up argon are only open during the week. So tomorrow I'm gonna have to get more argon. Hopefully finish up the cage this week. That'd be nice. So there are a few things I do need to finish. Unfortunately, the cooling system is gonna have to wait until I can actually start the car, which I probably could do, but I'm just gonna wait until I get the steering wheel in so I can put in the wiring and actually finish it. So the cooling system's gonna have to wait. What I can do is put the radiator in, start working the shrouds, figure out the cooling or the transmission cooler, get those lines all done, and then probably start cutting out these doors. As I said previously, I'm still thinking I'm gonna cut here, along the bottom, and then up here, kind of make this whole thing cut out. And then I don't know, the cheap way might be to buy some like cheap vacuum line or something, and you split it down the middle and you just glue it to the edge of all this, so you can't have any sharp edges. Oh, that'll be a later problem. The only thing is I'm out of cutting discs, and the only saw blades I have are way too long, so I might have to run to the hardware store. Alright, I'm back. We're into the hardware store, got some lunch. Basically, I needed a few saw blades and whatnot. I also cleaned up the interior a little bit. That's not what we're really here about. I'm going to put the brake pedal back and start cutting out this door. Let's get to work. Basically, this is a 12-volt battery pack for Milwaukee. And up top, you've got a little, they're labeled like C1 and C3, but there's a plus and a minus. So that tells me these right here are your main power and ground for this battery. Now on this plug, there's only two wires going in, a red and a blue. And basically the way these motors work is you just flip power and ground to the motor and it drives it one way or the other. So what I'm going to attempt to do here is put these on the motor itself. Now we have our two jumper cables attached to the motor. So this is either going to go up or down when I connect it. So that was up. So we just gotta flip which ones are contacting the battery. Look at that. We're gonna bring it up just a hair. Perfect. Now we have access to our 2 bolts. And the window should come out. It was really held in its groove pretty well. So this metal piece right there is connected to the top part of this, and it looks like it hooks over and sits on something. I couldn't really tell what or how to remove it. It's not like it really matters all that much, so you can see I just cut it. Alright, it is time to update our to-do list for the vehicle. So, still haven't done that. Remove door card, we did that. Remove windows, we got that done. We haven't fully cleaned that. We did the thermostat. We installed the heater core bypass. Moved the AC lines. Still gotta find that, do that. And I did that. Exhaust mount gauges. Okay. So to kind of recap with this list, for the roll cage, I have to do the dash bar, which once I have that installed, I can do the steering wheel and the gauges. And then I also have the harness bar. Once I get the harness bar in, I can mount the race harness. And then the only other thing I'll probably do is put an anti-sag bar in with the harness bar. It's not necessary, but it'll be a nice little safety item and hopefully not take too long. Remove clean flush radiator. So we did remove it and kind of clean it out. We did a flush with water, but I'm not going to cross this off yet because I want to do the actual coolant like flush with a chemical. But that's going to require getting everything ready to run. Find a serpentine belt. Haven't done that yet. I basically just have to measure how long of a serpentine belt we need, and then go to the parts store and find one that fits. Install race harness, again, once the roll cage is complete. Steering wheel, battery tie down. I don't think we actually need a battery tie down. I think I wrote this when I misread the rules. The rules state you have to have some sort of actual tie down for the battery, which if we reuse a factory one, we'll have. Exhaust. That'll come at some point. And then the lowering springs I put on here just as a reminder, I think they're a good idea, but we're gonna have to figure out what we're doing with that. And then water wetter for when we actually final fill the coolant. That's gonna do it for today. I got some other stuff I gotta do. Gotta clean my vehicles. Who knows, maybe tonight, if I have some time, I will start working on the front of the car a little. I still want to do the radiator, I guess, shroud to the shroud for the bumper to the radiator and make sure all the air flows in. And then also run the lines. I got to find the little GM clips for the trans cooler. I remember stashing them somewhere. I just have to find them. They're these little tiny clips. And that's really about it. But that's going to do it for today or this weekend. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.